as they are the ones who continue to ban away the Nico. There's somewhat of a question coming into the night who would shoulder the burden of banning the Nico, as both of these teams have generally been the ones to do it in all their matchups so far.
Yeah, neither of these teams particularly feeling like they want to go towards that too much, which is interesting, right? It's the sort of champion I would have thought Missing would have quite liked. Finding those big wombo combo ultis is something I really associate with him as a player, but they haven't decided to go towards that. Last time around, Ultra Prime, they decided to grab themselves something wild in the mid lane. Do you have anything else right here for Saber to be able to pull through? You do expect that it's just going to be something, I was going to say a bit more standard into the jungle picked up first of all, but no, Ultra Prime, after a crazy first game from Saber, instead go towards the Orianna that they banned in the previous one. Potentially they're going to look to set themselves up a bit more of a standard League of Legends comp.
And reminder, Ultra Prime had first selection in game number 1, and they chose counter pick, and now they get first selection in game number 2, and they choose first pick. So pivoting a little bit here, the Orianna's still up, no Azir to face off against, but they're still happy to grab that one for Saber. There's BuLLDog's Akali alongside the Jinja of Croco. We've been highlighting that mid jungle all night long, and they both get themselves some priority picks.
Indeed, they do. I really like as well that you grab yourself something that you can play aggressive with, because in the previous game, BuLLDog, he didn't have a particularly fun time of it. He was getting pushed around by Saber on the Echo quite a lot. Instead, you can step up a little bit more. For Ultra Prime, now you're looking for a couple of ball delivery systems coming on through. I did again wonder if the Malphite might have been thought about. Instead, it's just going to be the Sion and the Wukong. Those both can be ball delivery systems. They're also good frontline aggressive. It feels like right now you're setting up Hena for a massive wombo combo champion. The Misfortune could potentially be the pickup. Otherwise, just one of those hyper-scaling ADCs, the Aphelios potentially, that you could just rip through your opponents on.
Yeah, for sure. Covering this Gwen as the potential counter to the Sion. Now, looking back over towards Ambessa, this would certainly be top lane and not jungle because the Xin Zhao is already there. But they are going to give Sheer this Gwen to try to counter out Liangchen Sion. So a couple of individual playmakers here for the likes of LNG to go into the top lane and the Akali in mid.
And we talk about Sheer as being a little bit more of a tank player, a little bit more of a just allow the game to come to you and help out the rest of your team kind of guy, but it feels like in this one he feels empowered to play versus Liangchen, and I really like what the Gwen can do in this combo. You are playing a little bit of a more aggressive, a little bit of a riskier composition overall. I do wonder if maybe you want to pair all of this up with something like the Kai'Sa, something really aggressive in the bot lane that you can just fling yourself into your opponents with, play super far up. Otherwise, you might get a little bit left behind as the rest of LNG goes jumping into the backline. For Ultra Prime, whatever ADC they've got is going to be well protected. The whole composition is going to be resting on whatever it is Hena is able to play, so he needs to have something he's very comfortable on and something you're able to kind of take your space with and use up what Ultra Prime are giving you.
I wonder if the Ezreal is something that Hena has in mind as a potential counter out to these sorts of dive compositions. It's something we've seen about bust out a lot over the last couple of days, looking over in Group Perseverance. Otherwise, definitely going to be without kind of the more utility bot laners, with the Varus band away, and then the Ash of the Jhin Fearless out. 1xN, though, sticking true to the aggressive game plan. Looking at Corki, looking at Kalista. No wrong answers.
No, I think in this situation, anything that can step up to your opponents and just play alongside these other aggressive pieces is going to be really useful. It will be the Corki locked in, so they are going to leave Missing for his counter pick. See what he was going to pull out. He has, for the most part, played a bit more of the Enchanter style, which isn't necessarily what you want in this composition. Now, I talked about how the Kai'Sa could potentially be fun for the LNG side as something to go flying in with. I think of it a bit less in this Ultra Prime composition, but we talked about how much frontline access you've got, how much you've got the potential for just massive wombo and lockdown. Whilst the Kai'Sa isn't super into that, the Acathian Rain can help. It will be great for just picking off an individual if you find them.
And there's something to be said for the ability to invert fights, too. Like, if you're getting dove onto, if you manage to survive the initial jump forward, Gwen is dashing forward, Akali is dashing forward. They're not necessarily going to have those dashes to go back to where they started, so you could try to, jump on over alongside with Grizzly, end up on the opposite side of the carries, and kind of try to play a pseudo front to back that way once those cooldowns are down. But your point's completely valid. It's not generally the sort of composition you expect to see this pick in, but Hena going to try to get a little bit more autonomy into his own hands here after that Ashe game in number 1 did not work out his way.
And I think this is the sort of situation where you may have been building up towards a wombo combo composition with the Misfortune or with a hyper carry, and then you look at what you're playing into and you go, there's a Gwen. There's a Xin Zhao, there's an Akali. Maybe I don't want to be immobile and squishy. Maybe I want to have that little bit of extra self-peel that you do get from the Kai'Sa. Of course, you are still quite squishy, and it's going to be very interesting to see how his positioning is going to look during these team fights. For both of these squads, the early game is once again going to be critical. A little bit more emphasis, I think, here for LNG to try to get something going earlier on, see if Croco can, again, meet up with BuLLDog and get that mid-jungle synergy that we've been talking about, because if you can do that when he's on something like the Akali, that is going to be beautiful for the rest of the game.
Definitely feels like Ultra Prime walk away with a very straightforward composition in regards to how they want to execute. Going to really need to see some of that skill play coming through from Sheer and BuLLDog to make the most out of these champions, try to outplay their opponents and get those sorts of advantages. And 1xN, huge game number 1 on the Jhin for him, and now on the Corki, looking to be the more lane dominant of the two. What can he get done in this early stage? Can he and Missing continue to be the big reliable bot lane for LNG, or can we start to see Hena and XiaoXia step up to be able to give Ultra Prime something to play through?
Absolutely, because this bot lane could potentially be a bit of a spark in the early game for these teams. We saw in the previous game, Ultra Prime were able to get themselves a lot of early push through their lane, but weren't able to fully capitalize in onto it. In this situation, as LNG, if you have XiaoXia jump forwards a little bit too far, you can turn around and punish very easily. 1xN has a lot of damage available to him early.
He certainly does. And this is kind of the one matchup where Ultra Prime are maybe a little bit less than fully counterpicked. They've kind of suffered counterpicks across the board for their lanes, though. So, again, I think like Hena and XiaoXia have probably the best shot at being able to potentially find a little bit of an advantage, especially if they do get some jungle intervention here. So, it's just something we're fingers crossed for if you want to see Ultra Prime try to extend this series out to 3 and show a little bit of weakness on LNG's side, because so far it is looking like they may just rampage through Group Nirvana and take a 3-0 first round robin for themselves.
And usually when you see one team completely take over a Group Nirvana setting, it is with a very frantic pace. It's with a lot of high energy games. But as we've been talking about, LNG, they don't mind allowing the pace of the game to come to them. They don't overforce in a lot of situations. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the bot lane being pushed in. And you don't mind, because you know 1xN is going to be useful later. BuLLDog, again, he's taking some decent early chunk damage out of Saber, as you will do throughout the first couple of levels. But that's fine. It doesn't matter. Just allow the game to come to you and don't overpush it. Seems to be the motto for LNG. For Ultra Prime, I want to see them push the envelope out a little bit too much. Being passive when you're losing a lot of games doesn't necessarily help. And in the previous game, they lost it because of their passive play and the fact that they went for odd team fights when they did finally pull the trigger.
Yeah, well, you know, covering a quickly read weakness from their game number 1 with the way that they've approached this draft. We'll see if that will be enough. And if LNG can kind of do the opposite right now, they're the ones who have got to be on the front foot. And even though they've been a team that hasn't been the quickest pace so far, like you said, a lot of these Group Nirvana teams, especially the dominant ones, often will be. This is going to be a game where they want to be a little bit more in that direction. Try to get this Akali rolling as well as the court.
Once you get yourself those level 6 coming on through, that's the point at which you maybe want to play a little bit more respectfully as LNG. There's pre-level 6 where you really can go quite aggressive. Once Ultra Prime have those level 6s in, all of a sudden, Grizzly Saber, that's a combo you are quite worried about. That's a combo you don't necessarily want to be getting too close to. I'd be really interested to see what happens as well with these early objectives. In the previous game, Ultra Prime were able to grab themselves the first tower that they've had all split long, and they've not just had a problem with those towers. Their neutral objective rate is incredibly low as well. They're barely getting a fourth of all the objectives in games, and it's just so many stats that you're missing out on, so much map control, map pressure, pace of the game control that you lose out on by not grabbing early drakes and early grubs.
And that's the cost of doing business if you aren't able to find any of the map control in the earlier stages of the game. We're going to see if against an aggressive LNG comp they'll have a chance. But Saber steps on up, Croco's behind him. Easy peasy, couldn't have drawn it up any better. The LNG mid-jungle claim another victim.
And that's the risk of playing something as low health as Saber was and continuing to step on up. If you don't know where Croco is, well, the answer is going to be he is behind you. Perfect early gank coming on through. I would have liked to see that first bit of gold going onto BuLLDog, as we've been talking about, right? Getting the Akali scaling is going to be really important, but you're not going to be mad about that as your first blood.
Not at all, and I mean, it gets you through the hardest part of this lane, right? Yes, Akali often a prized counter pick to the Orianna because of the fact that that mobility really helps you get out of the shockwave, and the fact that she can't really do much to get off of the Akali once you do start to dive in post level 6. But, I mean, pre-level 6 range versus melee matchup, it's not fun for the Akali, but the fact that you get to get out of it with a gold lead thanks to that gank, and you're level 5 nearly all the way there to the promised level 6 land, very, very happy start for BuLLDog.
And it gets even better later on as well, right? If you're looking to hit your big ulti with the Orianna, as you often are, 4-5-man ultis, well, often the Akali is nowhere nearby, looking for flank angles, or if you're going to hit the ult onto the Akali, maybe you're not going to be able to hit it onto the remaining members. It really splits the focus for a champion that wants to just be focusing all in one place. It is going to be a little bit of a rough level 1, and as we've seen, he's already gone through that.
Wow, Sheer already getting level 6, diving onto Liangchen and getting the flash in the 1v1. Gwen is already wreaking havoc. She hasn't finished an item yet, Bloxer.
And this is Sheer playing out of his mind so far this series. He's just been able to get so much individual lane pressure. Liangchen hasn't necessarily had himself the best lane so far. The LGD series specifically, I'm thinking about, he didn't really get to do anything at all in that one. But still, you would expect not to get pushed in quite so badly at this point. We'll see how much that is going to continue affecting the rest of the game, as Croco going to start himself up this Drake whilst his bot lane are grabbing towers. I mean, this is just lovely. Although... oh, Grizzly spotted.
Lurking around, still level 5 though. BuLLDog with access to that perfect execution, so Saber's got to be cautious about stepping up too far. The whole while, Croco working on Chem Tech Dragon. This will go over to LNG, first objective of the game to them.
With the way that the Observer was panning with the darkness turned on, I was so certain Grizzly was going to be sat in a bush over towards this side, trying to punish onto the over-aggressive push that you're potentially seeing out of 1xN and missing. But instead, no, you end up getting everything. Cake and eat it too. The tower plates, bot lane, and the Drake. This is the early game dominance that LNG haven't needed to exercise, but are able to do, clearly.
Yeah, the boys are up 1,000 gold here, 6.5 minutes in. Every lane is up. They get the first dragon. You can't really ask for much else to happen here, barring a massive mistake from Ultra Prime, and going to be able to absorb this wave to get 1xN back into an advantage state. He did take that early recall to make sure he could get onto the tier, gets a phage as well, and they're going to be able to get a freeze off here, in fact, to try to build themselves up an even bigger lead.
Oh boy, I mean, this is rough to try to break. As Hena, you step up a little bit too far, and you can just get instantly taken down. The teleport coming through from XiaoXia is going to at least give him that little bit of extra help, but still, teleport coming back straight in from missing. Like, they can't. Did they get jungle intervention here? It's a while until your jungler even wants to get down towards the bottom side of the map.
Hena going to be under pressure as a result. Takes the full combo from Corki there, and 1xN not slowing down. Connects a big one onto Hena off the retreat, and this is a guy who just reset. XiaoXia forced to flash. 1xN and missing, bringing the fight to Ultra Prime in the bottom lane.
Look. Everybody going to be rotating down right here from LNG. BuLLDog going for the massive flank. Going to catch Grizzly on his Grom.
Yeah, Grizzly already using a lot of his cooldowns on the Grom. Will be able to interrupt the shuriken flip, but it doesn't matter. BuLLDog finishes off a solo kill after catching out the opposing jungler, and now going to go for the dive onto XiaoXia. 1xN on the board, 3-0 LNG.
Croco really nice, picking up the aggro from the tower right there. Takes a couple shots, walks back on away. What are you going to miss out onto this one? You're going to lose a couple of minions. A cannon wave, maybe this first tower plate. No, I don't think you're even going to lose that onto Saber. Just a really nice piece of map rotation out of LNG. But it all starts from that freeze set up by their bot lane. They draw the members of Ultra Prime up a little bit further forwards because they think they can maybe just break this freeze, and allowing this freeze to continue is going to start sapping golden experience out of them so very quickly, but that just steps you a little bit too far forwards and missing brilliant little entrance to be able to start that fight off.
Yep, really good stuff there, landing the knock-up, and that's kind of been the story of the series in some ways. It's kind of getting snagged by the engage tools that Missing brings to the table. Time after time, fight after fight.
Flashless.
Keeping themselves in an advantage state. XiaoXia found in the river. This guy is done for.
Yep. Yep. The second he was flashless is just going to go down, and 1XN going to be donated that kill. 4-0 in terms of the kill scores. 2,000 gold the advantage. The only thing potentially saving Ultra Prime right now is that that kill happened bot lane, so you can't go get the Grubs top lane. It may cost Hena his life, though, if he doesn't retreat. Just about going to be able to get back to the tower.
Keep it together, Hena. Play responsibly. Looking for the recall here, and looks like he will be able to get on out, but already his jungler's starting up on those Grubs, so the freeze continues. The Grubs are going to be claimed for Ultra Prime, but that is, you know, just a little bit of a consolation prize for how these lanes are going.
Yeah, and I mean, it's taking a while as well for Grizzly to be able to take down these Grubs. He should just about be able to pick them all up. No, he's still got one left.
Combo. XiaoXia's here to back him up as his Saber. BuLLDog takes more than he bargained for, trying to retreat back away. Will actually be able to get out of there. Hena into the backside, but BuLLDog immediately retreats. Grizzly going to be the first one to fall in the fight. Croco now with the crescent guard up, going to try to keep the fight going. Hena's up way too far. Sheer will chop him down with the scissors. XiaoXia forced to retreat, and LNG win the fight 2-0 while 1XN farms turret plates bot.
How on earth did LNG manage to win that fight? Ultra Prime had that one put on a silver platter for them. BuLLDog jumping way too far forwards. This isn't even a first item completed Akali. And it just does not matter. LNG, a bit of a hands diff, I guess. We'll have a look back at this one. BuLLDog goes in way too early. Isn't able to steal away the Grub either. What a ulti right here from Missing. If he doesn't manage to land that ulti across every single member, that quickness completely and utterly saves his butt. Still, at this point in the fight, things are so split, and you expect this to finally be a kill going over. Yeah.
I don't like that at all. I mean, props to BuLLDog for holding on to the perfect execution second cast there. He is in dangerous territory. I think a lot of players probably just blow that right away to create some distance. He holds on to it and ends up baiting in Hena quite a bit there. And then, I mean, I don't even know if you call it baiting, but Missing's threat of a grand entrance causes him to flash deeper into the fight. And that's all she wrote for old Hena in that play. It's a 2K individual gold advantage for 1XN. If you have any questions about how we got here.
Yeah, this game has ballooned out of control. The first game was pretty slow, calm, collected. We were talking about how we liked that LNG could win games like this. Well, all of a sudden they're showing we can win games in every which way, and they do not look like they're going to be letting up the pace now, pushing on forwards, looking to steal away a Gromp from Grizzly. He doesn't want to give it too easily over, though. Just gonna have to concede. I mean, there's so very little that you can do at this point as Grizzly. 0-2-0 right now. Hasn't been able to scrape together the gold for that first item. Part of the problem here is that they have barely seen towers. I mean, you haven't taken more than one tower play in any lane.
Yeah, dude, you were showing some real impressive 1XN stats in the head-to-head at the beginning of the night, and he's about to push those numbers even higher.
0.8 average deaths coming into today. No deaths in game 1. Currently no deaths in game 2.
Yeah, that number's going to go lower at the current rate. And also, yeah, the average dip, I think, 11. Oh, BuLLDog. Hang on. Making me shut up for a minute there as he nearly one-shots Hena. Barrier, the only thing that keeps him alive.
And now you don't have that barrier for next time. Obviously not going to be the longest cooldown overall, but if BuLLDog can keep doing that, keep the pressure up, that's just going to be so frustrating to try to play against. Still, we haven't got to see any big, proper front-to-back team fights. The team fight that we did get to see was incredibly messy, very split. You didn't have Liangchen there to be able to deal his damage, use his disruption inherent to the Scion kit as well. And when you look at the composition that Ultra Prime have, they want these front-to-back team fights. They want to try to use a little bit of a wombo combo potentially. They've got a couple good ball delivery systems as well. This game is not over. Ultra Prime do have angles. It's just going to be very hard.
Potentially a little caught here. Shockwave comes through. Saber trying to keep him in place.
He's
Saber going to connect, and it will be a kill going over the way of Saber. Ultra Prime on the board, getting the gold right where they want it to in the pockets of this Orianna. It's a very small prize, but baby steps if Ultra Prime want to try to pull themselves back into this game.
And it's gold onto the correct member. It does now mean that you're going to be down a member as well as LNG whilst trying to steal away this blue buff. Doesn't look like that is going to matter whatsoever, though. Ultra Prime just getting bullied back out again. And I mean, look at where the gold split is at the moment. 2.3k on 1xn, 1.4k right now onto Croco as well. Grizzly just hasn't been able to get anything going 2 games in a row. And Hena, he got froze on. There was nothing he could really do in this game.
No, I don't know if what he's done with that nothing has been the best in the world, but certainly was not set up for success with the way that the lane ended up playing out, and the involvement that Croco and BuLLDog had to be able to get themselves on the board through playing towards the enemy bot lane. 4.5k gold lead for LNG, going to be the prize at the end of that sequence of events. We're nearly going to be over to 15 minutes here. 2-0 in the Dragons, controlling all of the objectives on the board, and I think they're going to be free to get that Rift Herald if it is what they want, but still focusing in towards the bottom side for now, just trying to deny additional camps and get Croco even further ahead.
You can just keep this pressure up right now as Ultra Prime. It's on you to be able to break through the lines that LNG have drawn. I mean, so consistently they have had really good deep vision all over the jungle and the bottom side. Ultra Prime, they've got, what, like 1 ward in a tri-brush bot lane? That's not going to be enough to really set up a lot of these flanks, and it just makes stepping into your own jungle that much more terrifying. Something you really don't want to have happen at this point in the game. Still, we might have to move away from our Bastion setup down on the bottom side of the map. There is going to be Rift Herald topside. Looks like Croco has already started that one up, and Ultra Prime, they don't seem to be in a position to try to contest onto it.
Yeah, I mean, Sheer super dangerous on this Gwen. Going to continue to have Liangchen pushed on in, missing and trying to apply some pressure onto Grizzly, going to the very least be marking him for no involvement on the Rift Herald. Hena going to get pushed in mid by the likes of 1xn, and it does look like this Rift Herald is just going to be easy pickings for Croco as 1xn continues to build up a bigger and bigger lead from the time he gets to work on towards these turrets.
A Kali dive?
At BuLLDog, he does have plenty of tools left to be able to dip and dive out of here. And he just clears the wave and walks on out. He's got his boy missing in his back pocket, so no chance to do much of anything as 1xn claims another turret.
Sending everyone down to the bottom side was always going to concede that tower. Teleport top lane to try to punish a Sheer who is very far up.
Back, going to get knocked up by Liangchen. Does have the miss to try to keep himself a little bit safe, and actually stepping up, going to force the flash on Liangchen, and a flash snip to claim the kill back, but it might be a 1-for-1 trade as XiaoXia is there to hold him still and let Saber finish off the kill. Another big shutdown over to Saber, but BuLLDog wants this 1 versus 2, tumbles in towards Saber, thinks better of the decision, and gets himself back under the turret as turrets are dropping in mid for LNG.
They're just going to be able to turn this pressure top lane into gold for themselves. LNG get themselves a mid lane tier 2 tower and a bunch more off of the third. Missing, a little bit caught out right here. Of course, Rakan going to be one of the slipperiest champions in the game and is walking away. And again, you've moved multiple members from Ultra Prime up towards the top side of the map at the exact moment at which there's another dragon spawning. That's going to be soul point for LNG just 17 minutes into this game.
Pushing and pulling Ultra Prime around the map. LNG continue to claim each and every objective as it arrives on the map. Yes, the grubs did go over the way of Ultra Prime, but you see how much they're getting to hit turrets. I think LNG are plenty happy with having been able to secure everything else. BuLLDog going to be assigned towards top lane for now. It's another look towards potentially diving this Akali, it feels like, but it's going to go the same way as it did bottom lane. There's just nothing to go for here for Ultra Prime, and XiaoXia got it back on away.
And this is just another play where Ultra Prime managed to get themselves a kill, but they lose out massively across the map. We're talking about how their percentages on objectives were looking coming into today, but it's going to look even worse at the end once again. And this from Sheer, he's been playing himself a very nice overall game, a good performance on the Rumble in the previous one. This one, though, is just not respecting how much damage a Gwen can do. If XiaoXia doesn't arrive at the exact moment in which he does, you could turn this around again. Unfortunately, the zombie corpse of Liangchen is just going to be enough to dissuade the over-aggression, but it's less about the individual play here for LNG than it is what they can turn into gold on the rest of the map.
Absolutely. And turn it into gold they do. 5k The advantage for LNG as Hena nearly gets one shot. 1xN going to have to flash back away and missing. Actually going to be able to finish up the job. Grizzly really wants to be able to find something, really wants to put the Deathless Man down, but it will not happen. 1xN stays alive, stays at 0 deaths for the series, and LNG building up a bigger and bigger lead with the 2 kills they've already claimed. Shockwave on 2 for Saber, but already too many members have dropped. There's just no follow-up available, and Croco with the front line going to stop Sheer or Missing from being potentially chased down. LNG, a 2-for-0 fight, and another turret going the way of BuLLDog.
What is being lost in all of these team fights is the fact that Saber is actually doing work. He is trying his absolute darndest to be able to get things going for his team right now. But it doesn't matter because the rest of the team are so good for LNG. Yeah, Hena trying his best to pick up that kill. Missing decides, no, we are not walking away without that one. And then at this point, 1xN, the barrier and the fact that Croco's able to push him back with the Crescent Guard, more than enough to keep him alive. Yeah, it's a sliver of HP, but any HP is going to be good enough in that situation. And it's another fight for Ultra Prime that has gone awry. Still, as I was saying, Saber has actually been playing pretty well so far. His row is about to pop as well, so he is going to be in an okay position to potentially carry. If you find a massive shockwave onto multiple members, specifically onto 1xN and BuLLDog, these fights are not completely unwinnable.
Yeah, so Ultra Prime find themselves in a position where they say, all right, you know what, forget about the Nexus, let's just try to get the big shutdown. Let's go one step at a time, kind of shift the goalposts a little bit, and they full send it, and they still don't accomplish their objectives. So mental probably at an all-time low at this stage of the game for UP. They will need to be able to continue to funnel gold into Saber, maybe some kind of massive shockwave play once he gets another item in the tank. Could give them a chance to take down 1xN nice and early, build them a pathway back into this game. Saber the 3rd richest on the map, as you see there over on the left. But that is the only thing Ultra Prime have even close to going for them right now.
It's got to be something. You've got to have something to try to play around as Ultra Prime, and this Baron is probably going to be this play. This is where you throw everything at LNG, because if you give over this objective to LNG, there's really nothing you can do to try to turn this one around. Liangchen just dead. I heard the ulti, but he didn't go anywhere, so going to assume that somebody, probably Croco, was able to get ahead of him and body block that one up. It does at least draw multiple members to the other side of the map, so you're not going to be able to go straight towards the Baron, but 1 minute until the next Drake is going to spawn, and it is soul for LNG if they're able to get it.
Yeah. Saber, farm alarm sounded, arrives with the teleport to be able to clear out that wave and make it so that Sheer doesn't just rip through their bot lane inner turret, but like you said, it's less than a minute to go until Dragon Soul. Ultra Prime are going to try to make a stand, and that's probably the place to do it. It's only going to get even harder once Hextech Soul is available for LNG, but oh boy, they are certainly not too pleased with the position they find themselves in coming into this fight.
No, absolutely not. A lot of darkness, the Observer doing a brilliant job of highlighting that for us. And it's been this way throughout the entirety of this game. There's so much deep vision for LNG that they are more than comfortable to step up right now, continue putting the pressure on. It's making it very scary for Ultra Prime to step in. Teleport coming on down. That is going to be Sheer.
Sheer going to the first one in. 4 members jump onto him, but he just uses the mist and kites it out. Now Liangchen arrives to the scene as well. Missing going to be on top of him. They find the knock-up, and they say, hey, you know what? We'll hit whoever's in front of us. Liangchen caught away. Going to have to flash back towards the safety of the rest of his team. Try to work with his health bar. Sheer stepping up. Engage found from the quickness onto all 4 members. BuLLDog dashing on in there and just going to execute him as 1xN arrives to clean house. Sheer and 1xN is too much damage to handle. LNG find a quick 4-for-0, and they're going to march over to Dragon Soul.
You can see a nice big smile on Sheer's face as that play comes on through. Saber, he did find himself that big shockwave, but it just was too little too late. Soul point grabbed. Bot lane tier 2 tower going to be ripped through as well. And still, there's Baron available too. Is going to be a King's Ransom right here for LNG.
Absolutely. Sheer getting a solo inner turret gold. Those plates are so valuable. Sheer is on an absolute tear on this Gwen, and you know what? That 4-man shockwave, probably the best you could hope for Saber, and you just see it isn't enough to massive mistakes from LNG, and they are not looking like they're going to make them. They find Grizzly in the jungle, chunk him down into a tiny sliver. Sheer in a 1 versus 2. Saber did connect the shockwave there, so he's running a little low on damage. He can regen a lot of health here, but the chain CC from XiaoXia is enough. Saber gets himself a 3rd shutdown this game.
There we go. That is going to be something. Again, we keep talking about it. Ultra Prime just trying to scrape together whatever little bits of gold they can, but they are losing out onto this tower in the top lane no matter what. No way that Grizzly's going to be able to step up to stop this one from falling. Missing, thinking about starting a fight off for his team. A bit of discordance though. 1xN's trying to walk away.
1xN nearly one-shot XiaoXia as an afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, look at those 3 items, right? He is ripping.
Yeah, he's plenty happy with the amount of damage he brings to the table right now. And still holding out of that deathless title for the series. Those 0.8 deaths per game. About to be a lower number as this series is done and dusted. And here you can see that 1 versus 2 Sheer. Barely not able to get it done. Saber does have a decent amount of damage, and XiaoXia is able to hold the win at bay for long enough for the damage to do his job.
And it's well played right here from XiaoXia and Saber, just layering their CC together. The slows and the knockups, making it impossible right there for BuLLDog to actually, for Sheer to be able to actually move around in that fight, but it doesn't matter in the end. You have to imagine. You can see already that Hextech Soul, just that extra little cherry on top of what is already a very strong composition. Hena getting I was going to say a 5th, but that's more than that, right? A 3rd of his health bar just chunked out.
That's a big one, if I've ever seen one, and it completely pushes back Ultra Prime. There's nothing to be gained from standing there tanking rockets to the face, I suppose. And so the siege will continue. Big 1-3-1 setup here for LNG. They keep BuLLDog up top. They got Sheer in the bottom. And Ultra Prime just have no answers really anywhere, doing their best to clear out these waves. But you can see the turrets are starting to feel the pain. And these engages from Croco could occur at any time. Him and Missing just throwing themselves in to decide that this game is done and dusted. It's 11K in their side. They decide when and where things happen. Wow, 1xN. Just looking at one-shot Hena once again, playing aggressive here. Hena will be able to stay alive. TP being channeled. BuLLDog found XiaoXia in the jungle along with Croco. And like I said, they'll take anybody that they find. They're strong enough that even the tankier front line of Ultra Prime melts like butter. 2-0 LNG.
And this is going to be a ridiculous KDA in the end for LNG. They still don't think that they even need the Baron. Missing's going to teleport to a ward in front of him. That's fine. Just wants to swap something around with the spell book. This could well spell the end. I mean, I don't think you end right here. You do want the Baron to be able to actually crack open the base. But it doesn't matter. What can Ultra Prime actually do?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, you'd like to see LNG just kind of close out the game. You know, this is looking like it's going to go even longer than game number 1 somehow, even though LNG seem to have had an even larger advantage throughout it. But the one way you probably lose this game is that you mad overstay and give over 1 million shutdowns and let Hena and Saber actually play the video game. So
yeah,
they're going to play it calm and controlled, and
it makes sense.
Take a wild guess, it'll probably give them the win.
I would think so. There would be some real miracles coming through if it wasn't. And you do really want the Baron with this composition. As much as you have champions that hit towers for a lot of damage, you do not want to be getting close enough to hit them without the Baron, without at least a couple of kills going on through first. And having to just immediately jump back away, seeing Missing popping up in his jungle. A pretty common occurrence throughout this one. 1 minute. 30 seconds until Elder spawns in this game. There's no way that LNG need Elder to close this game out, but I wonder if they just want to try take it.
We'll see. The minion wave is getting whittled away at from a distance by Saber. Hena slowed a little bit, needs to be very responsible here, not get himself poked out and taken down. A quick combo, likes of Sheer or Croco or 1xN or anybody, frankly. He does want to try to get a little bit more gold to have a chance to be able to scale into this game on the 1% likelihood that LNG make a major mistake and give Ultra Prime an opportunity. Sheer going to continue to push on through mid. This inhibitor not long for the world, Bloxer.
It really is not. Sheer stepping up to it is finally what's going to crack the base. Ultra Prime, they decide to go.
Sheer seeing if they can melt through the Gwen. BuLLDog in there as well. Going to have to go into stasis. Missing arrives with the quickness, though, to try to hold him still. Shockwave pulls 1xN back away as he flashes into the brawl, but not before he deals enough damage to let BuLLDog clean up 2. 3 for 0 to LNG already. One Nexus turret falls, the second soon to follow. Saber going to be the target. Can he take down 1xN? Can he give a death to the marksman? No, he cannot. LNG 2-0. 1xN deathless on the series.
1xN just refuses to die. Less than a death a game, and none in this one. An incredibly good performance from LNG overall. From top to bottom, everybody was playing their part. Maybe you could say Xia overstepped his welcome a couple of times during this game, but even then, I mean, Hallowed Mist is a miserable ability to try to play into. Gwen is immune, and just walking on away. For Ultra Prime, they try two very different compositions for themselves. They try a bit more of a combo composition in the second one, a bit more of a pick composition in the first one, but it felt like they were never able to execute on any of those win conditions. It was a slower bleed out in game number 1. Game 2, incredibly fast.
Yeah, certainly was here. So we find that LNG complete the sweep of the group 3-0 in their first round robin. Nobody in Group Nirvana able to stand up to this crew so far, and you know, making our graphic at the start of the night look pretty accurate here, that this team, if you could reseed, redraft the groups, you would certainly choose to put them up in group perseverance at very least, and see how they're able to fend up against that slightly higher tier.
One thing to dampen what should be a very happy day right here for LNG. They were pretty slow at the end there, trying to end out. Versus a team like Ultra Prime, that's not going to be too big of an issue, but you do just want to see that little bit of extra proactivity out of them when you're coming up against better teams. For LNG, with the way that they've been playing here in Group Nirvana should be theirs. They are now 3-0 in their individual group. They'll go up against some of these group perseverance teams. You expect them to probably be able to come out of that as well, but if you want to compete against any of those bottom end group ascend teams, you need that level of proactivity. You need to be able to close out games as soon as you have any advantage. They spent a little bit too long for my liking dancing around the idea of getting the Baron. They were 10k up. They needed the Baron to be able to crack the towers. You want a little bit more from them there, but that is a small nitpick in what was a very good game from LNG.
Yeah, and it's one of those improvements you would hope to see it once they get opportunities to play up against some slightly higher tiers of competition, too. Very excited for what this LNG team could do as the season goes on and as they, you know, get into these postseason. Very, very likely. I do think that 3-0, it probably, you know, obviously it's still first round robin, so everybody could just do the opposite, but they're about as close as you could be to locking a top 2 spot in Group Nirvana. The likelihood that LNG get eliminated in the winter split before we get into those best of 5s, pretty close to nil at this point. They'll probably lock that one in the next day or two.
Yeah, absolutely. They have had themselves a really nice look so far, and their next matchup is against OMG. Knowing what we know about OMG and knowing what we know about LNG, there's an even bigger divide in between who we think should win that one and who we don't think should win that one. It's definitely going to be LNG favored. The questions you're asking going into this one, right, is 1xN going to die? Is Xia going to continue performing as well as he has? Are Croco and BuLLDog going to keep up the momentum they have? There's a lot of little storylines in between. What is an overall dominant look?
Yeah, and, you know, you're just looking to see, can they level up to be able to compete with the Perseverance or even the Ascend teams, right? The questions about who is going to be able to win Group Nirvana certainly should be done and dusted with what we've been able to see from these teams so far. As I think we're likely getting into the post-match interview now, so won't be able to show player of the series, but those will come up during the break. It's going to do it for our section here, Bloxer, as we are going to send it on over to a new group of casters as Weibo and Top Esports are coming on up. So stay tuned. We'll be back after a short break with more LPL English.